You don't feel controlled. And that's exactly why this works. Real manipulation doesn't feel like force. It doesn't feel like pressure. It doesn't feel like someone standing over you. It feels normal. It feels reasonable. It feels like your own idea. If you think you're thinking for yourself, that's the manipulation. Most people imagine control as something loud, something obvious, something aggressive. They imagine shouting, rules written in bold letters, someone telling them what to do. That image is comforting, because if control looked like that, you'd notice it, and the system cannot afford for you to notice. Real control is quiet, polite, optional. No one needs to force you anymore. Force creates resistance. The system doesn't want resistance. It wants rhythm, predictable behavior, predictable reactions, predictable outcomes. And you are predictable. You wake up, you check your phone, you absorb information you didn't ask for. You feel something, anger, fear, agreement. Then you react. You call that freedom. Freedom today isn't taken away. It's simulated. You're allowed to speak as long as it doesn't interrupt momentum. You're allowed to disagree as long as you disagree inside the approved range. You're allowed to choose as long as the outcomes were already decided. That's not oppression. That's efficiency. The most obedient people don't feel trapped. They feel comfortable. Comfortable people don't question patterns. Comfortable people protect the system that comforts them. Comfort is the strongest leash ever invented. You were taught that manipulation only works on weak people, on uneducated people, on gullible people. That belief is not accidental, because the moment you believe you're immune, you stop paying attention. And when you stop paying attention, you comply automatically. Control today doesn't say do this. It asks, what do you feel like doing? Then it nudges, a little reward, a little validation, a little approval, then a little pressure, a little shame, a little isolation. Nothing dramatic, just enough to guide behavior. Over time, your instincts begin to align with goals you never chose. Repetition turns opinions into instincts. You don't remember when the idea entered your mind. You just know it feels obvious now. And obvious ideas are the hardest to question. That's how conditioning works. Control doesn't begin with commands. It begins with rewards. Not money at first. Approval, agreement, belonging. Human beings will abandon truth faster than comfort. Every system learns this early. Reward the behavior you want. Ignore the behavior you don't. Soon, people correct themselves. They don't need to be told what's acceptable. They feel it. A raised eyebrow, silence, a shift in tone. That's enough. Punishment doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be consistent. Ridicule, labels, exclusion. Nobody wants to be the one standing alone. So they soften their opinions, then shorten them, then stop expressing them altogether. They call it maturity. This is how conditioning deepens. First you react consciously, then subconsciously, then automatically. Repetition does the rest. The same message, different packaging, different voices, different emotions. Over time, the idea stops feeling external. It feels obvious. And obvious ideas are the hardest to question. This is where the illusion becomes complete. You're still choosing, but the range has narrowed. You're still thinking, but only inside approved boundaries. You mistake familiarity for truth and repetition for consensus. The system doesn't need you to agree. It needs you to participate. Participation creates momentum. Momentum creates pressure. Pressure creates silence. Silence looks like peace, but it isn't. It's compliance without conflict. Most people don't notice the transition. They just feel tired. Tired of explaining, tired of defending, tired of standing out. So they blend in. Blending feels safe. Safety becomes the reward. And once safety is tied to obedience, the system no longer needs to threaten. It just waits, because waiting works. The longer this runs, the harder it is to tell where the system ends. And you begin. That's not an accident. That's design. This is where most people get confused. They believe control ends when disagreement begins. They think resistance means freedom. It doesn't, because disagreement is often part of the design. You're allowed to disagree. As long as you disagree in predictable ways, you're allowed to argue. As long as the argument never questions the structure itself. This is controlled opposition, the appearance of choice. Without the risk of change, you're offered two sides, sometimes three, but all of them lead to the same outcome. You argue inside the system, you fight inside the system, you exhaust yourself inside the system, and the system stays untouched. This creates the illusion of freedom, because freedom feels like participation. You feel involved, you feel heard, you feel represented, but nothing fundamental moves. The boundaries never shift. Most people never notice. They're too busy defending their side, defending identity, defending opinion, defending belonging. The system doesn't care what side you choose. It only cares that you choose one, because choosing sides locks attention, and attention is the real currency. Once your attention is captured, your behavior follows. You stop observing and start reacting. Reaction replaces awareness. This is why outrage is encouraged. Outrage feels powerful, but outrage is predictable. Predictable emotions are easy to steer. Calm people are dangerous. Calm people watch patterns. Calm people hesitate. And hesitation breaks momentum. That's why urgency is everywhere. Everything feels immediate. Everything feels critical. Everything feels personal. Urgency shuts down reflection. When everything feels important, nothing is examined. This is how choice collapses quietly. You don't lose options all at once. They narrow, slowly, until only reactions remain. You call that conviction, but it's conditioning. True choice requires distance. Distance requires silence. And silence is rare, because silence gives you back control. And control is what the system avoids at all costs. So it keeps you loud, busy, engaged, but never free. Here's the part most people never hear. The solution isn't fighting harder. It isn't being louder. It isn't choosing a better side. Those are distractions. Real control doesn't break when you push against it. It breaks when you stop feeding it. The system runs on reaction, emotion, urgency, noise. So the moment you slow down, you disrupt it. The moment you stop reacting immediately, you regain leverage. This is why silence matters. Silence isn't weakness. Silence is space, and space gives you something rare: perspective. When you stop responding instantly, you start seeing patterns instead of headlines, motives instead of messages, structures instead of arguments. Most people never reach this point because it requires restraint, and restraint feels uncomfortable at first. But here's the truth: nothing powerful moves fast. Everything that matters waits, observes, and chooses carefully. When you slow your reactions, the world speeds past you, and that's when you see it clearly: the leverage, the manipulation, the openings. This is where real freedom begins. Not in shouting, not in convincing, but in withholding. Withholding attention, withholding emotion, withholding automatic responses. The system cannot control what it cannot predict, and it cannot predict someone who chooses when to move. If this feels uncomfortable, that's a good sign. It means you're close. Most people will forget this tomorrow. They'll go back to reacting, back to noise, back to urgency. But a few won't. A few will slow down, watch longer, think deeper, and those people will never see the world the same way again. That's the difference. And once you feel it, you'll know why this works.